welcome to First Unitarian Church, where our mission is to explore the eternal, nurture community, and pursue the common good. We welcome you in your brokenness and in your wholeness. No matter who you have been, who you are, or who you are becoming, we greet you today with love.
Our chalice lighter today is LaDonna Hunt, who is stepping down from her service as chair of the Befrienders at the end of this year. LaDonna.
We light the chalice as a symbol of our sacred time together. The burning chalice represents the light of reason and science, the warmth of loving community, the cleansing heat of justice, and the flame of hope.
Thank you. We begin our service today with two quotes. The first from modern dance artist and choreographer Martha Graham, and the second from Tolkien's The Fellowship of the Ring. From Martha Graham. There is a vitality, a life force, a quickening that is translated through you into action. And there is only one of you.
Dana, could you start back with the first quote?
I just noticed I was muted. Thank you. So our first is from Martha Graham. There is a vitality, a life force, a quickening that is translated through you into action. And there is only one of you in all time. This expression is unique. And if you block it, it will never exist through any other medium and be lost. The world will not have it. And from Tolkien's Fellowship of the Ring. I wish it need not have happened in my time, said Frodo. So do I, said Gandalf, and so do all who live to see such times. But that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us. And now that we have gathered, let us enter into sacred time together. Our opening hymn is We Are Gathered, written and performed by Amanda Udis Kessler.
We are gathered in the Spirit, our bodies are apart, filled with joy and touched with wonder, separate hands but mingled hearts, giving thanks and singing praises for the love that calls us on from our many different places. We are gathered into one. We are gathered in our sorrow. We are gathered in our fear, in our pain and in our worry, in our anger and our tears, as we tend to one another with our gifts and with our care. Our community is strengthened through the May we offer in abundance all the grace that we have found.
Our story today. Joanna loved making things happen. Joanna was usually not the first person to come up with an idea. That just wasn't her style. See, Joanna loved to help others make their ideas happen more so than spend time trying to think through her own ideas. Just last week, Conrado had the idea they could really use some more colorful pamphlets for the welcome table. And so she went back home and worked on new and beautiful pamphlets and came back the next week with beautiful material for the welcome table. She wore the title of Worker Bee proudly. It would help make other ideas happen. But Joanna certainly wasn't a leader. A leader is the one who makes the decisions, not the ones who make it happen. People like Conrado, they were the real leaders. Well, Conrado loved welcoming people to a second home. He loved helping out at the greeting table and loved introducing visitors to the joy he had experienced as part of the church. Every morning, he would arrive early and set up the greeting table with all the helpful information. And just last week, he thought the table could use an upgrade, got some help, and made it even more appealing for newcomers. He loved introducing visitors to other members that they might have something in common with. It was his personal mission to make his second home a home for everyone who walked through the doors. But Conrado wasn't a leader. The true leaders are those who go out of their way to make others feel included. People like in the morning religious exploration classes. They were the real leaders. Well, Tommy loved his Sunday morning religious exploration class. He was a proud member of the first grade class, and his teachers loved him, and he loved his teachers and his fellow students. All week, he looked forward to coming to the church on Sunday morning and would often ask his parents every morning if it was time for church yet. Eventually, the parents broke down and showed him how to use a calendar because they were so tired of answering. Well, this morning, they were doing an activity in their classroom that involved everyone getting up and talking to each other. Now, normally, he would have loved this because he loved to talk. But he also knew that Billy didn't like to talk to strangers and sometimes acted different when he was forced to talk. He went up to the teachers and asked to speak with them outside in the hallway. He told the teachers he was worried that the activity wouldn't be good for the whole class because it wouldn't include Billy, too. The teachers thought about it for a minute and knew he was right. The teachers thanked him and called him a leader. But Tommy wasn't a leader. He just wanted to make sure everyone was included. People like his teachers, they were the real leaders. Florence loved babies. She was never able to have any children of her own, and now that she was in her grandmotherly years, she wished she had some grandchildren to play with. She found that volunteering in the nursery upstairs not only helped new parents enjoy the Sunday morning service, but that it really fulfilled a need inside her. Last week, she noticed some of the toys were starting to get, as my cat goes insane in the background. Last week, she noticed that some of the toys were starting to get a little dirty, and the more she looked, the more she realized the nursery was in need of a good cleaning and a good toy sorting. She spent so much time over the week working on that nursery, making it look as good as possible for the babies and infants who would be playing there on Sunday mornings. She talked to some of her friends, and together they went shopping at the thrift store for some new toys to replace some that had broken. When Sunday morning rolled around, she welcomed the families with a big smile. The families immediately noticed the difference and thanked Florence and called her a leader. But Florence wasn't certainly a leader. She just wanted those babies and toddlers to have the best nursery possible. People who organized for justice, they were the real leaders. Well, Don loved social justice. He was passionate about living his values in the world, and he wanted to make the world a better place. He knew that it was important that there were people who helped with the immediate problem and served, and people who advocated so the problem wouldn't exist anymore. He thought himself as part of the latter and tried to attend a lot of different protests, marches, and rallies. Every week, he was at the church behind his usual table and more often than not had some sort of petition for people to sign. But Don certainly wasn't a leader. He just wanted to help make the world a better place. People who help with pastoral care and make sure everyone's cared for, they were the real leaders. Well, Tony loved to cook. He loved cooking great big meals for the church and would always volunteer to help cook large meals for church events. He delighted in making sure everyone had a home-cooked meal, and he loved volunteering with the caring committee. When someone was in need, from sickness to a death in the family to just needing a little extra help that month, he would always sign up to make a dinner a few nights a week for the entire family. He thought that a home-cooked meal could make any difficult situation just a little bit better, so people wouldn't have to worry about cooking that night. It was just one less thing for the family to worry about. He loved sharing his cooking talent and always had a great time when he was cooking. But Tony certainly wasn't a leader. He just wanted to cook for his friends. The children of the church, they were the real leaders. Well, this could go on and on and on. Joanna, Conrado, Tommy, Florence, Don, Tony, they're all people who didn't see themselves as leaders, but they saw other people as leaders. And other people saw them as leaders too. People can be funny like that. They don't ever see themselves as a leader, when in fact, they're leaders too. How many of you think of yourself as a leader? All right, now how many of you think you see someone on this screen or in this Zoom that you think of as a leader? All right, so when people hear the word leader, they just think of the person at the very top. But leadership means more than just one person. It takes all kinds of leaders to make something happen. And it takes all kinds of leaders to make our church happen too. Whenever you're standing up for what's right, helping someone or taking care of someone else, you're being a leader too. And the world needs all kinds of leaders just like you. And now I would like to invite Susan Bishop to give a reflection. Susan? There you go.
Thank you, Tim. I distinctly recall my reaction to Lou Ann Faulkner Schneider's query regarding would I be willing to stand as president-elect of our congregation. It was one of the few times I found myself at a loss for words. I asked if she was certain. Surely there were others more qualified. Did she have the right person? She assured me she did and asked me to think about it. I looked back on that afternoon and realized we were both taking a leap of faith. I was already a member of the Board of Trustees, and after a couple of days to reflect on whether or not it felt right for me, I elected to accept the nomination. And by saying yes, I knew I was embarking on a new journey. My first year as president-elect, I spent most of my time attending meetings and learning how this church operates, from who changes the light bulbs to how a budget is formed to sustain a church throughout its fiscal year. So many things impressed me. The number of volunteers who stepped up to organize committee meetings, fundraisers, work groups, and special events. The variety of activities we had for our children and youth, all accomplished by the work of volunteers. And fortunately, it wasn't always the same volunteers. I must admit that I felt overwhelmed by the expertise of others. And there was that gnawing voice in my head that questioned if the nominating committee had been right in selecting me to be president. But I had to remember that they had faith in me that I could do the job. So I had to have the confidence in myself that I would do my best. I know I spent time with Reverend Diana admitting that I was very uncertain about being the president. I told her I wasn't a religious person and wasn't it in the job description that I should believe in God. She assured me it wasn't. I remember my sister-in-law asking if there would be a ceremony when I became president. I had to think about that a moment. Finally, I told her, no, I just turned the page on my calendar and suddenly I'm the president. There are many gifts, I think, for anyone who chooses to be a leader in this church. There are responsibilities that come with the job of being president, from conflict management to signing checks to pay our bills and everything in between. But the gifts that I refer to come in other forms. Obviously, there is the gift of discovering how things happen in our church. There is the gift of being in community with others who share my values and commitments to First Unitarian. And there is the gift of stepping outside my comfort zone to awaken dormant skills and develop new ones. When COVID-19 became our new reality during my presidency, our church closed its doors. But the work in our church continued. All the committees, teams, and working groups continued to do the work. And while it was a challenge, we did it. We did it because we were Unitarians and we believe in our church. As past president of the congregation, I haven't been as busy as I was the prior 2 years. Being past president automatically puts me in the leadership role of the nominating committee for next year's church officers. Our committee was dynamic and hardworking, and we found what we believe to be, and we think you will too, fabulous candidates to lead us into the next year. It has been a year of reflection for me about leadership and how we find the leaders among us. As I step aside at the end of this church year, I look forward to new opportunities to serve. Leadership in our church is an essential part of how our church operates, and I sincerely hope that when you are asked to step up and be a leader, that you will seriously consider and accept the offer. I thank you for the gifts you gave me throughout my years on the executive team.
Thank you so much, Susan, for everything. And now here to do our call to offering is an active member of our congregation and an active member of Voice, Claire Allwater.
I am Claire Allwater, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. Every Sunday, we take an offering. Since 2002, all the cash and designated checks from that offering have gone directly to external nonprofit organizations doing good work in our community, our Change for Change partners. This month, our Change for Change partner is Voice. That is, voices raised in civic engagement. I joined Voice early in 2020, inspired by Voice member Greg Bell's enthusiasm in working with the Greater Mount Olive Baptist Church, preparing meals for the needy. State Question 805, dealing with criminal justice reform, resonated with me, and as a member of Voice, I worked to get signatures to make it onto the November ballot. Voice is about people caring and working together to make things better, from what's going on with utility costs to predatory lending to voter accessibility. We are grateful to be this month's Change for Change. You may wish to make your donation using a credit card through our church website, or this could be a good time to find your checkbook and write out a check and put it aside to mail to First Unitarian Church Monday morning. Let today's offering reflect our highest aspirations for the work of this church in the world.
Our offertory today is a song to sing, and this is a PowerPoint slideshow that I put together back in the beginning of September when it was just becoming very clear that we would not be meeting in person again anytime soon. But as I happened to watch this slideshow again recently, I became aware of how it features so many of the leaders of our congregation. So I offer this to you to enjoy.
Every person has got a light. Every person has got a light. Look with your heart and see how bright. Every person has got a light, has got a light. Every bird got a song to sing. Every bird got a song to sing, whether grounded or taking wing. Every bird got a song to sing, got a song to sing. Ooh. Every tree takes time to grow. Every tree takes time to grow. If you want a forest, then you should know. Every tree takes time to grow. Takes time to grow. Ooh. Every dream is a wishing well. Every dream is a wishing well. And a treasure you don't ever sell. Every dream is a wishing well. Is a wishing well. Every person got a song to sing. Every person got a song to sing. Whether grounded or taking wing. Every person got a song to sing. Got a song to sing. Ooh.
Today, we mark the turning of a season. We mark it with celebration of our outgoing leaders. So when I gesture to you, congregation, I invite you to remain muted, but to say the words, "For this we thank you." There is a cycle to life. Everything has a beginning, a middle, and an end. This is true of life, it is true of communities, and it is even true of leadership positions. As I say the names of our leaders who are stepping down from their positions at the end of the year, please join me in the sacred act of making jazz hands. Today, we honor Susan Bishop, who is rotating out of her position as immediate past president, and David Moore, who is ending his term as treasurer. We honor LaDonna Hunt, who is stepping down as chair of the Befrienders, and Sherry Fair, stepping down as chair of the Lifespan Religious Exploration Team. We honor Maria Todd, Russell Bennett, and Pam Yarbrough, who are rotating off the Committee on Ministry, and Marshall Gimple, who will be stepping down from the Committee on Ministry to serve on the board. We honor Lynn Ann Wagner, who will be ending her service as the chair of the Welcoming Congregation team in order to focus on her work as board president. We honor Rodney Goddard, who is stepping down from his role as president of the Alliance. We honor Tom Perriam, stepping down from his role as chair of the Stewardship Committee. Anne Murray, who retired from her long service as Social Justice Committee chair earlier this year. Courtney Custer, ending her service as chair of the Human Resources Working Group. And we honor Miranda Fair, Zane Scott, and Michael Kay, who are rotating off of the Board of Trustees, as well as all the other lay leaders who have served our congregation so well during this time of crisis. You, dear leaders, have indeed served us well, and we say, for this we thank you. You have been thoughtful leaders and stewards of this congregation. For this, we thank you. You have attended endless Zoom meetings, learned how to lead Zoom meetings, written countless emails, recruited volunteers, written innumerable articles for our e-newsletter. You've brought a spirit of dedication, your love, and a deep, abiding faith in the growing, evolving spiritual community that is this congregation. For this, we thank you. By your service, you have helped nurture and meet our needs for personal spiritual growth, inspirational worship, and a mutually caring community. You have helped us devote ourselves to religious learning for all ages, embrace human diversity by welcoming individuals and families of all kinds, and join with a larger community to promote love, justice, and service to society. For this, we thank you. You are ending or have recently ended these commitments that you have held with such care. Each ending is also a beginning, the beginning of a new role, perhaps the beginning of a time when you can simply be here in worship and community, the beginning of a time of renewal. We trust that you will find the right way to nurture your spirit and serve this community. For this, we thank you. And to all those attending this service, you too have the opportunities for endings and beginnings. May this litany serve as a reminder that we all have the ability and obligation to say yes to service in this community, and also to say yes to stepping down after a time, even if it seems there is no one to take your place. May each of you here accept an invitation to say yes to a new opportunity for service. Yes to an opportunity to nurture your spirit. And perhaps yes to an ending of your own. We trust that you will find the right way to nurture your spirit and serve this community. And now our Human Resources Working Group has a presentation.
Whoops. Thank you, Diana. Good morning. My name is Jeannie Bauman. I'm a member of the Human Resources Working Group. Our group includes me, Rory Dobson, Fawn Hammonds, Scott Harvey, Carmen McBride, Tempe Nichols-Rude, and our fearless chair, or soon-to-be ex-chair, Courtney Custer. The HR Working Group is a committee named by the bylaws, which has responsibility in 4 major areas: recruitment and hiring, employee relations, staff appreciation, and board job descriptions. We are before you today to administer our favorite function as a member of the HR Working Group. That's employee appreciation. Each May, the HR Working Group undertakes an effort to provide a small token of the congregation's appreciation to our staff. That looks really different this year, as does everything from COVID. In fact, our entire church year has looked dramatically different because of the pandemic. We want to take time today to recognize the superhero efforts of our staff to bring us through an entire church year virtually, and a fabulous job they did. Most years, HR Working Group and the Board of Trustees treat our staff to a catered lunch in Daniel Hall. I've been to a couple of those. They're a very, very fun activity. Due to the current CDC guidelines, that wasn't possible this year, but recognizing that our superheroes still need to fuel to charge up and carry out their responsibilities, we instead invited each staff member to choose dinner from their favorite restaurant. This week, HR Working Group members delivered those dinners along with a wrapped gift, which our heroes have been instructed not to open until right now. At this time, I'm going to ask Reverend Diana, Tim, Administrative Assistant Marlise, and Congressional Life Coordinator Nathan to find their gifts. I hope you have them. I know Reverend Diana has hers because she showed us that the tape was open, but she didn't do that. It just happened. Chris, can you please find the Zoom squares for our 4 heroes, all 4 of them, and staff, you're invited to open your gifts as we continue our presentation. Okay, I see Marlise has hers. And Reverend Diana.
And Nathan? you're up first. So go ahead, open your gift now. And everybody else can be, just don't be showing them quite yet till we call your names, okay? So Nathan Boone is our congregational life coordinator. He joined our staff in August of 2019. He has zoomed us into the virtual church world, managing our public and private face groups, creating multiple virtual choir videos, developing an auction website, managing the auction software program, and editing our Sunday services, the videos, and then posting them to our YouTube channel. Nathan launched our membership highlight lunches, and along with Marlise, has rolled out Breeze, the new membership database, which we use to track attendance and pull records, send reports, and automated birthday messages, mass emails, and texts. Nathan, can you hold up your cape for the congregation to see? Nathan's superhero cape is blue, and his symbol is the star, which represents the guiding light that he has given us through this year of change. Thank you for all you do, Nathan.
Thank you. Thank you, Timothy and Nathan. My name's Courtney. I am speaking about Tim. Tim Atkins is our Director of Lifespan Religious Exploration, who joined our staff in September 2020. Tim immediately assumed the role of Super DLRE, creating virtual programming in a single bound. Tim has run a weekly online chapel and RE program for the elementary children on Sunday mornings, written curriculum weekly for virtual Sunday school, and regularly led a time for all ages, in addition to occasional preaching and collaborative worship planning. Tim has led our middle school youth group into a new world of online games, TED Talks, and virtual community, while simultaneously organizing and leading new programming for adult RE and serving in leadership roles for the UUA nominating committee and Loretta, and representing our church at Religions United meetings. Tim, hold up your cape. Your cape is emblazoned with the heart symbol in honor of our gratitude for your heartfelt guidance and influence during this time. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Tim and Courtney. Marlise Grogg, keeper of all things administrative, joined our staff in August of 2005. Marlise tackled enemies of efficiency and effectiveness in our administrative operations. Marlise made all the calls for pledges this year for those who needed a friendly nudge to turn in their pledges. This made a significant difference in our final pledge total. While working remotely, she ensured that calls to the church were answered, mail was picked up, bills were paid, and deposits were made. And along with Nathan, she transferred our member records from Access to Breeze and is now working with Paula Geisinger to transfer our pledge records into Breeze. Marlise keeps us all informed with our e-weekly updates and virtual orders of service. Marlise, you are the queen of our church office, so your cape is rightly embellished with a crown. There, and we know your favorite colors, and one that would really be is the leopard print. It's not exactly your color, but that's the closest that they had to that. So thank you so much, Marlise, for all you do.
Well, who's left? Oh, Reverend Diana. Reverend Diana is our fearless lead minister. We called her to our church in 2018, and she joined our staff in July of that year. Diana has energized our congregation through the perils of a COVID economy, securing a PPP grant for our congregation, allowing us to supplement our pledge income with COVID relief money during the pandemic. Diana has worked to help us heal our wounds, adroitly handled life transitions, and provided pastoral care to our community. She sacrificed the larger part of her summer study and vacation leave last year to ensure our congregation continued to thrive even as the crisis worsened. Diana has provided invigorating leadership as we navigated a church year made entirely of online Sunday services, Zoom committee meetings, and virtual events. Sorry about that mute. Reverend Diana's cape rightly bears a lightning bolt in recognition that she is the electrifying spark of our community. Her favorite color is crimson, which was unavailable, but we heard from a little bird that purple was her second favorite, and the royalty that signifies seems right also. Thank you for all you do.
Well, thanks for getting me all choked up. On behalf of the congregation, the HR working group would like to say a thank you to all of our amazing superhero staff. We appreciate all you have done this year and every year, and I know you'll continue to do in the future. We are all looking forward to celebrating with you in person again very soon. Thank you, thank you, thank you all.
Oh, HR working group, and to all of you, thank you so much. It is my honor and my joy to serve this wonderful, wonderful community. And I have to try not to cry because I need to move into a spirit of prayer now. So please join me in a spirit of prayer and meditation. Spirit of life, as a people emerging from a time of crisis, we are grateful for the gifts and the commitment of our staff and lay leaders. We are thankful that they are a part of our community and our lives. We know that even as many of us emerge from our houses and from behind our masks and begin to live a life that is once again something like normal, life will surely have new surprises for us, both good and bad. May we remember the way we have been held by this community and have held one another, even from a distance, during this hard time. And may we know that we have this strength, this resolve, this love to get us through whatever hard times may lie ahead. May it be so. Amen. It was the early 1970s, and good Unitarian Universalist ministers were saying things like, UUA headquarters should be blown up. Who had provoked such hateful speech from otherwise peace-loving and inherent dignity-affirming Unitarian Universalists? Well, it was the UUA president, Reverend Robert Nelson West. Before stepping into the role as president of a fledgling UUA, an organization less than a decade old at the time he took the reins, West was a respected minister who is known for his commitment to social justice. What he wasn't known for, though, was being extroverted and charismatic like his predecessor, Reverend Dana Greeley. In fact, West was sometimes described as the anti-charisma president. Dana Greeley had led the UUA for 8 years with flair, gusto, and vision. But as Robert West found out only after he became the next president, Greeley had also run the organization into significant debt. In fact, it turned out that the UUA was $450,000 in debt, and they were teetering on the edge of bankruptcy. As if that wasn't enough, at the General Assembly where West was elected, tension overflowed between Unitarian Universalists who wanted to stick with the old civil rights goal of racial integration, and those who wanted to push instead for liberation and Black empowerment. Things became so heated that at one point, one speaker stole the microphone from the opposing side and hid it. Voices were raised, and hundreds of Black Unitarian Universalists and their white allies walked out. One minister spat in the face of another as he was walking out in protest. It was ugly, and it was painful. For many, it felt like Unitarian Universalism was coming to an end before it had hardly even started. So what did President West do? Well, he cut the budget by 40%. He cut UUA staff size in half. He consolidated departments. He also backed off on a promise that had been made to the Black Affairs Council to provide $1 million in support over a period of 4 years. And for all this, he was unliked, even hated by many. Other gut-wrenching decisions landed on his desk. In 1971, he was asked by the head of Beacon Press, which is the Unitarian Universalist publishing house, for permission to print the Pentagon Papers, the Defense Department history of U.S. decision-making in Vietnam. This was a study of U.S. military involvement that had been leaked by Daniel Ellsberg to the New York Times. This top secret study revealed that the government had known early on that they were entering into an unwinnable war and that multiple administrations had lied to Congress and to the American people. The Times had published parts of the papers, but the Nixon administration shut them down. 35 different private publishers were offered the chance to publish the full version, but they didn't take it because of fear over what the government might do in retaliation. When presented with this choice, President West decided to take the risk. He explained his decision to Unitarian Universalist congregations like this, quote, "The issue is whether the American people had the role of central participants in the democratic process or passive observers of government actions," unquote. Once Beacon Press published the Pentagon Papers, FBI agents began digging into UUA financial records, even getting hold of the checks of pledging UU members and donors. Agents from the Defense Department showed up at the Beacon Press office, and their visit was followed by a threatening call from President Nixon himself. Between the cost of publishing the papers and all the resulting legal fees, West needed to tighten the budget yet again. By the end of his 8 years as president, the UUA was on solid financial footing, and the publishing scandal had helped to pull people back to UU congregations. When Robert Nelson West died in 2017, he was described by UU leaders as our faith's unsung hero. Did President West do everything perfectly? Absolutely not. Could he have done some things differently? Most certainly, yes. But we have a UUA today, in part because of the hard choices he made and because he valued this faith more than he valued being liked. At another time, he might not have been the best choice for president, but at that time, a time of multiple crises, he was exactly the person for the job. In J.R.R. Tolkien's novel, The Fellowship of the Ring, the Hobbit hero Frodo confesses to his friend, the great wizard Gandalf, that he would rather not have the responsibility of saving all Middle-earth from the plot of the evil Sauron. He would rather not be the bearer of the one ring which both empowers and destroys. He would rather not be charged with heading straight into the center of Mordor to destroy the ring in the cracks of doom. Speaking of the great task that awaits him, Frodo says, "I wish it need not have happened in my time." And Gandalf replies, "So do I, and so do all who live to see such times. But that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us." Coming across this quote recently, I was reminded of another quote from the great American modern dancer and choreographer Martha Graham. Speaking of the responsibility of artists, she once said, quote, "There is a vitality, a life force, a quickening that is translated through you into action. And there is only one of you in all time. This expression is unique, and if you block it, it will never exist through any other medium and will be lost. The world will not have it," unquote. The small word that connects these two quotes is time. There is only one of you in all time. There is literally no one exactly like you. Not now, not in the past, and there won't be in the future. There is no one with your experiences, your memories, your gifts, your flaws. You may think you are small. You may think that your actions make no difference, that someone else is surely better fitted to the job of leadership. But no one else can translate life into action in exactly the way you can. And if you hold that back, something important will be lost to the world. Maybe there was a time when simple problems had simple or obvious solutions, and maybe at such times the involvement of every single person was less important. But the problems we face today, what some have called wicked problems, they are impossible to solve from just a single perspective, or from the perspective of a single person, or a single culture, or a single group of people. Because the problems are too complex and too interconnected. To borrow an expression from our Boston siblings, wicked problems take wicked, complex, and interconnected solutions. There is only one of you in all time. And now here you are, living in a time of wicked problems. There are some people who believe that their spirit pre-existed their life on earth, and they chose to enter life at a certain time in a certain place. That doesn't happen to be my theology. Like Gandalf, I believe that we can't choose the time we're in. Whether you ascribe it to fate or karma or just dumb luck, this is where and when we are. We can't choose that. We can't do anything about that. But as Gandalf says, there is something we can do with the time we have. The challenge is to line up the gifts that only you in all time have with the time you are in, and then to ask the question, what do I want to do with the time I have? So I'm going to leave you with a homework assignment. And I ask you to find some time this week where you can find a quiet place, where you can maybe close your eyes and take a breath. And there are 3 steps. The first is this. What are your special and unique gifts that you and you alone bring to the world? Ask yourself that question. What are my special and unique gifts that I alone bring to the world? 2, think about the time you are in. Which of your gifts might be especially useful for this time? And you might want to remember the story of Robert Nelson West. He wouldn't necessarily have been the best president for a time when the UUA needed someone charismatic and outspoken, but he was exactly the right person for a time of crisis. And finally, part 3, I ask you to ask yourself this question. What do I want to do with the time that has been given me? What is the difference I want to make? There's your homework for this week. There is only one of you in all time. The question is, what do you want to do with the time that you have been given? Our closing hymn is "'Tis You Are the Music" by Cynthia Gray, performed by the Community UU congregation at White Plains in Westchester, New York.
Tis you that are the music, tis you, not your song. The song is but a door which opening wide lets forth the pent up melody, the melody inside. Tis you that are the music, not your song. Tis you that are the music, tis you that are the music, not your song is but a door which opens wide, lets forth the Spirit's harmony, which sings but of you. Tis you, the music, not your song. Your songs, your thoughts, your doings, each divide. This perfect beauty, life waves within a tide, or single notes, or single notes amid a glorious throng. Tis you that are the music,
LaDonna, would you extinguish our chalice for us?
We extinguish the flame, but not the light of love and community that burns in our hearts. There we go.
Thank you, LaDonna. We end our service today with words that have been spoken by many ministers in many congregations for a long time. The reason they're said so often is because they're true. Here, our service ends. And now, our service begins. Be well. Be safe. We'll close with a little postlude, and I invite you after that to rejoin us for our virtual coffee hour for conversation in small groups. And I'll hold this Zoom space open for a little bit at the end for anyone who would like to put comments into the chat. Perhaps thanks again to our wonderful lay leaders who will be ending their terms at the end of this church year. We owe you all so much. Thank you. Our postlude is a reminder that being a leader is not necessarily about being nice. It's not even necessarily about being liked. Sometimes being a leader means being a royal pain. This song is called Be a Pain by Alistair Mook.
If you see something that's wrong, raise your hand and say that's wrong. Point it out and name that thing by its name. Don't stand by and stare. If it's wrong, it's your affair. Don't be quiet, make a riot. Be a pain. Be a pain, shout about it and complain. Ignore the crowd and go against the grain. Don't be polite, raise your voice and do what's right. Be a pain, be a pain, be a pain. When Rosa Parks sat on that bus, she chose to make a fuss. She chose to break the rules and take the blame. Her choice to sit and fight helped to bring on civil rights, because one strong woman chose to be a pain. Be a pain, shout about it and complain. If they say you have to move, say I'll remain. Don't be polite, raise your voice and do what's right. Be a pain, be a pain, be a pain. Harvey Milk, he chose to run for the council board and won, even though folks said you can't because you're gay. One brave LGBTQ elected leader ran and knew you can change things if you choose to be a pain. Be a pain, shout about it and complain. Tell them I won't let you make me feel ashamed. Don't be polite, raise your voice and do what's right. Be a pain, be a pain, be a pain. Tennis star named Billie Jean told the world she had a dream that men and women would be paid the same. She refused to hit that ball till there was equal pay for all. She was a king because she was a royal pain. Be a pain, shout about it and complain. If they refuse to pay, refuse to play the game. Don't be polite, raise your voice and do what's right. Be a pain, be a pain, be a pain. Kids from Parkland led the fight for something they all knew was right. They said it's time for us to finally make a change. If adults can't compromise, we must go march for our lives. They spoke out and led the charge. They all were pains. Be a pain, shout about it and complain. When you're faced with laws you know are just insane. Don't be polite, raise your voice and do what's right. Be a pain, be a pain, be a pain. Oh, be a pain, shout about it and complain. Ignore the crowd and go against the grain. Don't be polite, raise your voice and do what's right. Be a pain, be a pain, be a pain.
See you at coffee hour. Bye, everyone.